Hello everyone, and this one's probably gonna get a lot of people angry, but these are my most 5 controversial hypnosis views. Okay, this is my first most controversial view, and the one I feel like would get the most hate, so I'm gonna start out and get this one over with. But my own personal beliefs is that you can consent under hypnosis, and before you get enraged and start commenting, blah blah blah, you can't consent. Why I feel this whole idea doesn't make sense. As someone who has been coerced under hypnosis and has done hypnosis for almost 10 years, I kind of understand the difference between being forced to do something and wanting to do something under trance. Now, when you think of being coerced to do something, the first thing you think of is someone who just wants to do hypnosis for fun, something like stage hypnosis, and then suddenly out of nowhere the hypnotist tells them to take off their clothes. And this obviously is assault and coercion. But I feel like, what if the situation was, let's say you've been doing hypnosis with someone for 10 years. You know this person like the back of your hand, and this person knows you just about the same. And under trance, the person just pulls a random suggestion that you weren't expecting. And because you're completely okay with the suggestion, and because you both know each other so well, you have a lot of communication with each other, you agree to the suggestion. It was a surprise, it came out of nowhere, it wasn't expected, but you were okay with it. And even after the trance, you were okay with it. Even after months after the trance, you were okay with it. Even years. Because even when abuse happens, and I know this for a fact, sometimes you're in denial for a while, but let's say you are aware that this was consensual, and no matter all the time you took to think about it, you knew that this was consensual, and it was consensual. I feel like that's where it kind of falls apart, that idea that could never happen. I feel like if there's clear communication, there's rapport built, you know the person very well, you're used to surprise suggestions, you are completely okay with it, no matter what time passes, either during the trance, after the trance, you're completely okay with it. I believe that is consent, because when something is coercion, you know. And I know that for some people, you're in denial for a very long period of time, but eventually it takes a while to, realize, yes, this was not consensual, just because if you agreed to do something, but you felt nervous and anxious while you were doing it, it doesn't mean what you did was consent. It just meant you were forced to do something, and deep inside you knew you didn't want to do it. So that's my feeling, that depending on the context, depending on the situation, depending on how well you know the person, consent is when both parties feel comfortable acting out something, and there's no regret, there's no fear, there's nothing afterwards. And I feel hypnosis shouldn't be handled where all cases are the same, because I'm very certain, as someone who has suffered abuse and been taken advantage of, and have been with a hypnotist who respects me and is comfortable with me and has pulled surprise suggestion, that it's a very different thing. And that if a hypnotist knows you well enough, they know which suggestions you're okay with. And that's basically my full opinion on consent in hypnosis. My second most controversial view is that you can go against your morals in trance. I know a lot of people know about this one. I know this one isn't really debated, and I wouldn't even consider it controversial, but a lot of people who do hypnosis still believe this. If you've ever seen behavioral experiments, even without hypnosis, you can be forced to do something against your will, depending on the circumstances. There have been many people who've done stage hypnosis who absolutely hated doing what they were doing. They even use it to disprove hypnosis is real. But in the end, they're still acting out a suggestion. If you do hypnosis and you do it, you obviously have ill intent for the subject. And if the subject feels trapped in a situation, they could be made to act out a suggestion they are completely against. It's very much possible. And it usually happens in very unpleasant situations. It doesn't even have to be abusive. Many times someone could act out a suggestion and it could trigger a really traumatizing feeling within them. These things can happen. Even if you're completely against these things, even though you want to not think about these things, it does happen with hypnosis. My third thing is that a lot of people really, really, really want to force this idea that once you go under hypnosis, it's basically like being deep asleep, which I do not believe is true. You are aware of things when you're in your deepest level of trance. It's not the same thing as being asleep. When you're asleep, you will not respond to anyone. Anyone could talk to you, anyone could tell you anything. That's where you will not respond to anything. But when you're in a deep trance, you're still aware of the world around you, even though you're pretty much sedated. So you are aware of things. You're not consciously aware. You're still aware in some sense. So it's a complete misnomer that once you're in very deep, deep trance, you completely lose any form of sensation or awareness of the world around you. You are nearly asleep. You are right at the border of sleep state, but you're not asleep. When you are asleep, deep, deep asleep, you just can't respond to anything, but trance is not the same. My fourth controversial view is I truly do not believe that past life hypnosis, spiritual hypnosis, all that other stuff is not a valid medical tool. If you want to believe in something and it's purely for religious views, I'd say go for it. But doctors practicing past life hypnosis, all these other different types of hypnosis that clearly is like pseudoscience, is not only forcing religious views onto other people, but is extremely troubling when the person doesn't share your views. There's been cases of false memories implanted. People can force people to believe their beliefs. I mean, I'm sure there's been cases of people completely changing their religion due to certain hypnosis practices. I know there's alien hypnosis, where a person usually never really believed in aliens or were just kind of skeptical. They do alien hypnosis and suddenly they're a believer in aliens. Wow, what a weird coincidence. So yeah, I don't believe those are scientifically or medically accurate types of hypnosis. I do believe that they're if you want to believe in this stuff, sure, but don't try to claim that there is scientific backing for it. You could be skeptical about it. You could say that there's mysticism to it, or this is part of your own set of beliefs, but don't try to force it onto other people. And then finally, probably the dumbest one, but people still believe this, is that hypnosis can turn you gay. Yes, hypnosis is turning the frogs gay. This is probably the stupidest one, and people still believe this, that if you do hypnosis and one of the suggestions is to be attracted to the same sex, or any identity from the LGBT spectrum, that means that now you two are super gay. Now you're super fabulous. No, that's not how hypnosis works. Hypnosis is supposed to be guiding you along. So it's either, if hypnosis lets you explore your identity and come to the conclusion that you're gay, I say that's pretty great. I think that's really nice, but hypnosis did not turn you gay. It did not make you experiment. You did that on your own. And I wish people would stop passing on this stupid idea that hypnosis is magic and it could turn anyone gay. We could start the gay revolution. Everyone's turbo gay. Everyone's gonna form the gay alliance, the gay agenda. But no, that's not true. There's enough scientific evidence to show that being LGBT is something you're born as, and you can't use a psychological tool to change someone's identity. So yeah, that was my 5 most biggest controversial views. Leave in the comments what you think. Give me a like if you like them. Give me a dislike if you're absolutely enraged with me. Just let me know what you think. And if you have any suggestions or you want to convince me otherwise, just let me know. See ya.